Good morning, viewers, and welcome to a brand new week. It's the Economy and Politics Show, and today, Monday, November 16, 2020, we'll be discussing an interesting topic, Nigeria, digital technology and global competitiveness. To all our viewers, Nigerian across the globe, apologies for starting a little late behind time. This was due to some glitches which we've resolved, and always assure you of prompt programming and timing to serve you better. According to a recent economy report produced by Google and International Finance Corporation, Africa's internet economy has the potential of adding about $180 billion to its regional economy by 2025, with Nigeria as a major pivot. To discuss further on this topic, I have on the show Mr. Shina Badaru, is the founder of Technology Times. Nice to have you once again on this program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show once again this wonderful, vibrant morning.
Yes. So, Mr. Shina, let's start from our last conversation where we talked about broadband penetration and the enabling infrastructure. Currently, the broadband penetration level in the country, according to the reports from the National or Nigerian Communications Commission, is 45.43%, which shows the immense opportunities for deepening a robust digital economy. The state governors have a role to play in enabling the right of way. As at last time we discussed, only 3 states have shown that pathway, Kwara State, Kaduna, and Ekiti states. Lagos is also coming out with some opening investments into fiber optic infrastructure, a 300-kilometer first phase, and then the next 300 kilometer that'll make it 600 kilometer. Ekiti State steps taken in the use of right of way has attracted already a potential 600-kilometer investment in broadband. What must be done more? How should state governors take this a step critically, like they look at the issue of security or education? How important is it at this time to harness and deepen this broadband across the states?
Okay. Thank you very much for that wonderful question, which is also equally timely and topical in the history of our nation. In national life, as well as we look at the place of the Nigerian economy in the global scheme of things. What do I mean by this? If we sit back and reflect deeply over COVID-19, COVID-19 crept into our lives and fundamentally changed everything. We never thought that we could witness, with all of the sophistications that we've had in medicine, with all of the advancements in healthcare and Medicare and all of that, no one would possibly assume or project that we could have a pandemic of that reach and breadth, as well as impact and consequence on a truly global scale. When the pandemic came into Nigeria, it again showed some clear gaps in our national planning, in our national development status, and left us with quite a number of soul-searching questions that we should begin to look for answers for. And that's one of the immediate consequences was the issue you talked about the right of way and broadband penetration vis-a-vis extending fiber infrastructure across Nigeria. Over the years, now let me first put in context. It's not something new. It's always been there. It's always been there. More and more, it's always been bogged down by the conventional or traditional or the existing enabling environment challenges of right of way, challenges of government at various layers, seeing the extension of fiber infrastructure, extension of telecoms infrastructure as just another avenue to make money. That means to involve in taxation and more often than not
Mr. Shina Badaru, can you hear me? Well, for viewers, I think we've lost him a bit, but he was trying to bring to context the concerns around broadband penetration. Like we've said, it's currently 45.43%, and the role of state governors in ensuring that the right-of-way issues are addressed is very critical, because if we have the enabling infrastructure, it does a lot to our digital economy. Take, for example,
a truly digital economy.
Yes.
An economy that is driven and enabled by the beautiful possibilities that digital technologies can bring to bear. It then means that we would look at those technologies and enabling infrastructure like fiber to bring this closer to the people. Now, bringing fiber closer to the people is no longer a necessity, as COVID has shown us. It's no longer essential. It has become urgent and it has become a national imperative. Why do I say so? Let's forget about the numbers. Let's forget about the number of kilometers that they've done or the impact across GDP. Let's bring it to the basics of how does this affect us in three key aspects of our life: of the way we live, of the way we work, and of the way we play. So let's roll back to during the pandemic. We found out that before now, nobody could ever think that it was possible for it to become the new norm for our children to attend schools via Zoom. Yes or no? Nobody would think it possible that a market as rudimentary as, say, Mile 12 would start selling online. People thought that it was for the sophisticated consumers in Lekki, VI, Ajah, GRA that could buy online. So it was becoming a new normal. Okay, it was also becoming a new normal that we were getting our information across social media platforms, online, real time, as those news were breaking. Everybody wanted to keep abreast of the most urgent news at that period, which was news about COVID. And as the days and weeks and months unfolded, it then became a new normal that we will get the things that we used to get traditionally in our brick and mortar. We will then get them either digitalized, or a digital format. So that brings it to bear, and all of these things were no longer restricted to Lagos. They were no longer restricted to the urban centers. Children who are now taking it for granted and going to school via some e-learning platform that has at the back of it the internet as the pipe that brings this content to their homes, to the comfort of their homes, attending school. What we now say and what government at various levels have now come to say is that those pipes can now be brought closer to the people. They can be brought closer to, say, Abigi Community Grammar School in my hometown, where things like this are exotic. They can be brought to the guy in Sugeru. They can be brought to the guy in the remotest part of Cross River State, or the remotest part of Maiduguri, or any other part of Nigeria. And at the heart of it is that fiber infrastructure that we're talking about. So it's no longer about a telecoms infrastructure. It has now become a critical national infrastructure, and we need to ensure the ubiquity. So to summarize, I think what citizens, what Nigerians at various levels of should begin to ask their leaders is, my governor, what have you done for me lately regarding fiber and broadband infrastructure, right delivered to my doorstep? My local chairman, what have you done for me lately? We don't need to go to local government to do things as basic as citizen registration. This can be done online. There's so many aspects of our lives and processes and operations that can be digitized in such a way as to make the delivery of government services a whole lot more efficient. Most governments will tell you today, oh, we've got digital. They just have a website that are just informational in nature. Those websites and those platforms need to be transactional in nature. The things that ordinary citizens traditionally go to do in local government, they can do it via those platforms. They can conduct transactions. The villagers in our villages spread across the nook and crannies of Nigeria can begin to have access to new markets by being able to showcase their produce online and reaching new markets. It could be new market in the state, it could be beyond the state in, say, the more prosperous commercial centers and all of that. So that is bringing of connecting this whole exotic idea, because whenever tech is talking, it's like, oh, broadband infrastructure, he can't connect with the average Nigerian. But when you begin to tell him that, look, if you are maybe just like the boys and girls, but just like any other language, it is a fight for commerce, it is a fight for access to knowledge. All of the world's biggest body of knowledge have been converted into some digital format, okay, from our traditional, and those children can have access to this knowledge anywhere, irrespective of distance, irrespective of location. So that's how we begin to pass that advocacy or send the message about the fact that broadband today, fiber today, in any local government, in any community, is no longer a basic essential. It is now an urgent imperative.
Yes, broadband is now an urgent imperative, and because of the fact that the pandemic changed the issues of living, working, and playing, we have to really leverage infrastructure to improve the activities, not just at state but local government level. So we have a responsibility to continue to engage the governors, local government chairmen, representatives at the federal and state legislature to see how they are working daily to ensure that broadband is not just a talk shop, but it's a reality in terms of how it can transform our lives, and the infrastructure is brought close to us. Thank you for that perspective, Mr. Badaru. Let's go on to something very important at this time, because as we see the fourth industrial revolution shaped by digital technology, the place of cybersecurity becomes very important. And you hosted a forum recently on data protection. We just want to get your perspective on how we can strengthen Nigeria's cybersecurity network and architecture as we continue to leverage this technology to become globally competitive. From your last forum, conversation with key experts, let's first get what were the key summaries, and has those recommendations been sent to the Office of the National Security Advisor and the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy?
Thank you very much again for that very topical insight that you've requested me to share. Before I answer that question, let me just bring in a perspective that's somewhat tangential to the question that you raised. And that's the fact that over the last couple of days, weeks, and all of that, following the NSAS protest by youths across various parts of Nigeria, online, we saw a rather curious development. A network of hackers who claim to be sympathetic to the NSAS protesters decided to undertake what could possibly have gone down in the history of Nigeria, or modern Nigeria, as the biggest cyber attack on Nigerian online infrastructure like we've never seen before. The website of so many government agencies were taken down, either by virtue of denial of access to those websites or actual intrusion that also led to massive leakage of private data. I am talking massive leakage of private data on a very large scale and on a very disturbing scale. Now, post those attacks, there are a few observations that some of us have made. The consequences or the impact or the noise around those attacks in real life, wearing that trident, didn't really attract that much attention in our daily life because it speaks to more fundamental things. It meant that for the first time coming to realize that many Nigerians actually don't use those websites, but supposed to be government platforms that are supposed to deliver government services to people. There's no way, for instance, a Nigerian police website will be down for weeks and there should be a national uproar. It was down for several weeks and nobody seems to bat an eyelid. So that speaks stridently to a major gap in that space. So that answers that. The National Information Technology Development Agency, which also last year released what they call the NDPR, that's the National
Data Protection
Regulation, which basically brought to bear the urgent need that it came out of the realization, just like the European GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, that more and more Nigerians are going online. More and more of us are giving out our private data on websites, on apps, and so many other platforms. The rules are now that there's now the need for us to be sure or guarantee that those data that we provide either to organizations domiciled or resident or operating in Nigeria or operating out of Nigeria must be safe, must be safeguarded, and must be secure. And the basic parameters that the IT regulatory agency that came out with the GDPR are set forth in terms of it. And just a couple of weeks ago, the agency also released its report in terms of compliance and also in terms of some of the enforcement steps that have been taken. As much as I don't speak for the agency, sometime last year or the year before, there was this news that made the airwaves about the Lagos Internal Revenue Service suffering a data leakage on its website. So the agency said it stepped in and investigated that data breach and summarily imposed a sanction on that Lagos State tax unit. That is fundamental. That's a landmark in terms of enforcement and in terms of saying that institutions that hold the data of Nigeria, both private and public, now start seeing the urgent imperative to be able to start having the best practices in terms of safeguarding those. So in Nigeria, it's effectively no longer business as usual with regard to data privacy, with regards to data protection, and this is one of the outcome of that major government undertaking. So on a broader scale, what does it mean for us as a country? What does it mean for us as a people? They tell me that today data is the new oil. With data, you can do so much more across the broad spectrum. With data, with access to data, we've seen across various parts of the world how data can be used to manipulate election. how targeted campaign or targeted information dissemination, information, misinformation, disinformation, and a whole slew of these situations can be used in a targeted manner, which speaks increasingly to why data is no longer just the new one, is now a basic security component of our life that needs to be safeguarded. So that speaks essentially to the issue of data protection.
Now, as we wrap up, we want to speak to the activities of the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, which, of course, like you said, digitalization is very critical for Nigeria now. Recently, the Minister, Dr. Issa Pantami, established the Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Unit, and also we saw the integration of the National Identity Management Company into the ministry. How will these two developments help to reposition Nigeria to become a very robust, globally competitive tech-led economy as we begin to wrap up? If you can take that for the next 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Global for competitiveness, the traditional way of looking at it is that, you've got skilled workforce and all of that. You have natural endowment, oil and all of that. That's no longer the best indicator of global competitiveness. Global competitiveness is now underpinned today by how your institutions and companies are competitive. Competitive in terms of delivery of value and in terms of delivery of value to its critical stakeholders, the customers, its employees, its suppliers, and its shareholders. So if you have an organization, for instance, you have Web TV owned by Prussia. You become a veritable business news and financial information provider of notes across Nigeria. Yeah. Now, as we proceed, if you've expanded that capability across West Africa, across the borders of Nigeria, that's being globally competitive. Yeah. If we have more Prussia delivering news and information, if we have more Globacom being globally competitive, that is at the very heart of the global competitiveness that we're talking about. Let's fast track to sometimes January, February, year 2000. A company called South Africa took a leap of faith and said that it wanted to stake its money in participating in the Nigerian digital mobile license spectrum at that time. A lot of its competitors in South Africa slaughtered at it and said, oh, okay, you're going out there into a very uncharted terrain, into that unorganized economy and all of that. But MTN saw the potentials in the Nigerian market. MTN took that bet in year 2000. MTN took that leap of faith, and look at what it has turned MTN to be. Across all of its footprint, across 22 operations, across Africa and the Middle East, the its Nigerian mobile subsidiary unit, MTN Nigeria, is a major deliverer of prosperity to that South African telecom giant. And by virtue of participation in the Nigerian mobile ecosystem, it has become a globally competitive player in the international mobile space. So that speaks at there. So let government create the enabling environment for the players in this space to be globally competitive. Let the Nigerian government begin to understand the strategic diplomatic edge that comes from taking a company like Main One and say, oh, you have fiber optic running from across Europe, landing across the shores of West Africa. How many of the West African nations have we been able to spread the promises of this fiber to increase productivity, to increase economic growth, not just in Nigeria. The Nigerian government can go with Main One, go and shake his fellow economies in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, Liberia, and all these other places, and ensure that we begin to realize the strategic importance of making our organizations globally competitive. We need to build more of the Dangotes. We need to build more of the Zenith International. We need to build more of Globacom. We need to take Main One to the Benin Republic, Ghana, across West Africa, and probably beyond. That's at the heart of what we're talking about when we're talking global competitiveness. It's no longer about your population. Okay, we have seen economies in which they have deserts, but they become globally competitive in agriculture. So it's no longer about just your population. It's about how organizations, institutions, and companies in your environment are able to deliver value to these identified stakeholders across their local government, across their state, nationally, across the West African sub-region, and across Africa. So that's what is at the heart of global competitiveness. So it's not about coming up with robotic, artificial intelligence, or some kind of nicely worded policy or strategic judgment. It's about creating the enabling environment. It's about having that razor-sharp commitment to ensuring that you're committed to the implementation of that policy and strategic roadmap plan, and also ensuring that the consistency across all time and across all governments, whether there's change in government or not. So that's at the heart of global competitiveness, and that's the new thinking. It shouldn't be about the old mindset, it should be about the new thinking. COVID has showed us that it's no longer, if you look at it, okay, innovation and change, they are inextricably tied together. But something can just come up or emerge someday at some situation to disrupt everything the way we've ever known it, and help us marshal a new thinking, a new mindset. Look at, we're taking Zoom for granted. It wasn't that Zoom wasn't there before now. But something just had to come to disrupt our thinking about doing broadcasting, doing schooling, doing learning, doing commerce. So that's the strategic new mindset that we all must now try to invite. So with that, I would wrap up on that conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shina Badaru. Very nice having this conversation on the need for us to make broadband real and bring it to states and local government level, the need for government to leverage potential tech companies as our strategic points of global competitiveness, and also the need for us to take data protection very critical and ensure that institutions are strong and robust and secure in the cyberspace. We hope to have more of this conversation next month. I hope to have you again as we review the year in terms of digital tech space, and we trust that you will come around once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to share the perspective with your viewers and audience across Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. We want to continue to congratulate you for being a veritable trusted platform, a very professional platform, and one that we all have trust and faith in terms of the professionalism of your broadcast activities and news gathering and dissemination. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And to get further updates and insights around our tech space, you can log on to our website, www.proshng.com. Go to the right side of the bar. You can scroll down. You'll see tech trends, tech regulation stories, and even digital activities. And you will be greatly enriched with those platforms. You can also send your comments and views on how Nigeria can leverage digital technology to be globally competitive. Send your views to news@proshng.com. We will be glad to receive them and respond appropriately. You can also follow our guest today, Mr. Shina Badaru, on Twitter at Shina Badaru, and also Technology Times at Tech Times NJ to give you rich updates on technology developments in Nigeria and across the globe. Till we come your way again, thank you for being part of this program. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.